crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com. With your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Check out the mug, Horn of Z's, Road to Ruta. I think these are collector's items now. I think we gave out like 20 of them a while back. I'll have to talk to Paige and Josh about giving out more of these babies. They're awesome mugs, by the way. All right, here's what I want to talk about today. Regulators. And Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, coming out saying we're going to regulate cryptos. So be prepared for regulation. As if it's something good. As if it's something to do with free market or helping people. The insanity of this whole game. Gary Gensler was head of the CFTC back when all the JP Morgan rigging was going on. And now he's trying to lecture us on how important it is to have regulation in the crypto markets. How about getting regulation in the silver market after, well, shit, the CFTC's been around, this version of it. It's been around since 1971 when we went off the gold standard. It's not there to regulate. It's there to control and hide and obfuscate the obvious manipulation. Look what just happened. I was preparing for this morning talk and silver was up a little bit. I'm like, hey, all right, good day. And then literally I blink and look what happened. Gold and silver. Gary Gensler, come on the road to Ruta. An open invitation to have a discussion about sound regulation and market manipulation. Clearly, you couldn't do anything about it. Did you try? I hear you did. I hear that Gary Gensler actually tried to stop silver manipulation as head of the CFTC, the regulator, but was not able to because it was a political decision. What does politics have to do with the law, Gary? Come on, Gary. Anyway, let's watch silver get slammed for a little bit, gold get slammed for a little bit. This is the end game, by the way. This is the end game. These guys aren't going to last another couple months. I don't know what's going to happen. They might place the price to zero and shut down all markets. I don't know. It's something they can't do. It's pretty easy to do when you control the computer programs that run the markets. But this is fucking ridiculous. Look at it. Come on, Gary Gensler. Anyway. Oh, by the way, Ginny and I did a reading yesterday. It has been posted on the private road. We did two. The first one, literally, we had a silver lightning strike that knocked out all her power, and you can kind of see it on the video. And then she freezes right when she was talking about how silver shines. You can't make this shit up. She did an awesome job, amazing stuff. We also did a reading on the next head of the CFTC. She did a blind reading because her computer camera wasn't on. We had to finish on the phone, and she freaking nailed it. If you want to know what's going to happen to silver regulation, watch this latest reading. And then the other one I'm going to post probably tomorrow. We did a blind reading on the T-Fuel gnome that Big Dog gave me. Jenny is amazing. She does this shit and has no idea what I'm holding up. Nothing. She didn't even see it. Nothing. And she nailed that too, along with I held up who I thought was Q, the real Q. Really interesting stuff. Go to roadtoroot.com, sign up for the private road. All right. And then go a couple down is the Jenny Moonstone readings if you go to the private road. Right now, we're changing this because it already got changed. Never mind. Josh is on it quickly. The second one is all the Jenny Moonstone readings. First one's about Theta, how to buy it, store it, and stake it. Second one, the Jenny Moonstone readings. And you get all of them. I mean, it's like a library of amazing stuff and amazing readings. Look how far back we go. Oh my God, we've been hanging out way too long. Anyway, so this one is up. It's called Silver Lightning Strikes and Jenny Moonstone Silver Reading. And then the next one's going to be probably the T-Fuel gnome. Anyway, I want to talk about Gary. So as we watch the price of silver get slammed down for the 4 billionth time, 100% controlled on computer programs run out of the Fed, New York, the basement of the U.S. Treasury, and the bullion banks, along with a company called Virtu Financial and BlackRock. It is a concerted effort. They got sign off from every country in the world to do this. Any country could end the silver manipulation, gold manipulation, by just printing money and buying it. They're not allowed. If you try to do something like that, you'll be taken out militarily. So just be aware of that. This is so much bigger than, Gary Gensler. But anyway, Gary Gensler gave a speech yesterday on crypto regulation. We've been hearing about it. It's here. My question to Gary Gensler and everybody at the SEC, the CFTC, and in Congress is, where the have you been? You sit there and let the crypto people do what they want, commit crimes according to you. You take down the players you don't like that might threaten your system, like Reggie Middleton inventing the most positive crypto in the world, peer-to-peer transactions on securities that was being implemented in the Jamaican Stock Exchange and the German Stock Exchange, and you take him down. You try to tell me the SEC is fighting for the customer? I say bullshit. You're lying. And I know you weren't the head at the time, but you better fess up to the crimes committed by the SEC and the CFTC before you get on your high horse and start preaching about the need for regulation. Listen to what Gary Gensler has to say.
Hi, this is Gary Gensler, and welcome back to Office Hours. What does the SEC have to do with crypto? And why is the chair of the SEC talking about crypto? Now, technology has come along decade after decade, but those that have a chance to thrive, grow, come within a public policy framework. To be clear, I think that the SEC should be technology neutral. But one thing we're not neutral on is investor protection. Our agency, the SEC, has had rules for decades to protect people when companies want to raise money from them, or when we as investors buy and sell securities on an exchange like the New York Stock Exchange. But you see, crypto trading platforms, crypto lending platforms don't have the same level of investor protection that you've come to expect buying and selling stocks on a stock exchange or investing in a mutual fund or a 401k. In the years since Bitcoin was started, literally thousands of other tokens have been launched, many of which traded on platforms may well be securities under our laws. That means if the platforms and certain of the tokens don't register with the SEC, they're non-compliant with the important federal protections in our laws.
Well, who does those laws protect? Does it protect the little guy or does it protect the big guy? That's where he's kind of screwing up. Gary, the laws are put in place to protect the big guy, not the little guy. It's the big guys that skirt the law, and you did it. You were the head of the CFTC when silver manipulation was going on. That has been proven and admitted to by JP Morgan Chase. Bart Chilton even screamed it from the rooftops, and you were his boss. And when asked why he didn't stop JP Morgan from rigging the silver market, his answer was it was a political decision. You, Gary, you are the one who made that decision. Whether or not you were influenced by the politics, you were Bart Chilton's boss. You knew everything that was going on, and you didn't stop it. Why should we trust a regulator? You have lost the trust of the people. One of the reasons why Bitcoin was invented is because the regulators were completely corrupt and on the side of the big players who rigged the markets, for good or for evil. And then you think you get to decide who the winners and losers are? And why did it take you so long? We were begging the SEC for clarification on the rules long before ICO started. You wouldn't do it, you didn't do it, and now you're saying, a lot of these cryptos are offsides. They're securities and they should never be traded, and we'll be taking those out. Are you fucking kidding me? We were screaming for regulation long before the ICO started, and you did nothing. Because you wanted to get people on the hook committing. It's like, what's that movie where they have that pre-crime? This is you're talking about retroactively going after cryptocurrency companies when it was the SEC and the CFTC that did not pass any rules or laws about anything. And then they come in retroactively, well, that was really a security. It should have registered. Give me a fucking break. If you're going to change the way that regulators work, you better start with coming clean about what you've done in the past. If you want the trust of the people, tell people why silver's been manipulated for 170 years. Come clean to the people. And then we'll think about trusting you. But don't just assume you have the trust of the people because you're the regulator. We don't trust government. We don't trust regulators for good reason. Look at all the past regulators. Where are they? They're at the big banks now, being consultants, getting their payoff. I know you didn't. You went to MIT and taught cryptos. But I also know you worked for the Clinton campaign. Guilt by association on that one. I hope everybody understands what those individuals are about. And if you're going to clean up cryptos, why not go for the real criminals, the crypto cabal? Yes, these exchanges need to go away. But should they go away because a regulator comes in and gets to pick who wins and who loses? I mean, why is Tether even allowed to exist still to this day? And Bitfinex and the crypto cabal, they're a bunch of criminals. And yet they're protected by the deep state, in my opinion. All right, let's keep going.
So I've asked the staff of the SEC to use all of our authorities anywhere we can to uncover any wrongdoing.
Oh, wait a minute. I've asked the staff to uncover any wrongdoing. Did you really have to ask the staff to uncover any wrongdoing? What the hell have they been there for the past 10 years that cryptos have been around? Why did you have to ask the staff to do that? They should have been doing that every single day. Why don't you ask your staff over at the CFTC to do the same thing with silver? Isn't that what a regulator is supposed to do, is stop the wrongdoing? So you're saying basically that there's all kinds of wrongdoing and we let it happen because we didn't create any rules because we wanted everybody to get in trouble. Gary Gensler, you do not have the trust of the people. You want the trust of the people? Come clean about manipulation. Come clean about what's going on the COMEX. You know about it. Obviously, you were the head of it. You were the head guardian of it, and you fucked up. And JP Morgan just got busted for 10 years of rigging the silver market when you were the boss, the chief, the guy in charge. Why didn't you ask? And you did. You said, oh, let's stop the criminality on the COMEX. And then Bart Chilton said, we caught him, but we couldn't do anything about it. And obviously we couldn't stop it because JP Morgan still has the largest short position. Doesn't have the largest short position. Has the largest position of anybody in the history of silver. 10 times what the Hunt brothers had. Over 1 billion ounces of physical silver under their possession. How did they get it? By shorting the COMEX and taking physical off. Keeping the price down. Rigging markets. Spoofing is just a tiny part of what they do. Gary Gensler, I'm on your side if you come clean about the past. I'm all for a clean slate, but you can't start a clean slate when you have a basis of criminality. All I think you're doing right now is trying to control the system to keep the old criminal system going. That's all this seems like. Come clean about the past.
Authorities aren't enough. I've also recommended to Congress for them to consider filling those gaps with a goal of investor protection. To those currently or considering investing in crypto, please remember, not only are they a highly speculative asset class, but there are also significant gaps.
Now, first of all, it is not your job as a regulator to tell people what they should invest in. We live in the United States of America. That's your jurisdiction. We have free markets in the United States of America. We're supposed to. Free markets. The fact that only certain people can invest in certain type of assets, the assets that go up the fastest, is part of the old criminal manipulation. If you want us to believe in you, Gary, come clean. Come on the road to Ruta. I have questions to ask you about the future and where the future is going. Please, please let me interview you, Gary. Yes, you can probably run circles around me on the legislation side. I'm talking about the common sense side of regulation and why people are allowed to get away with crimes. And why the SEC, of all entities in the world, shut down Reggie Middleton. I want to know why. Reggie was going to save the old system. It wasn't going to save the old system. He was going to save the investor, peer-to-peer transactions. He was going to take out the criminal middlemen. JP Morgan Chase, trading $5 trillion a day out of their money center in Florida. Why?
In the investor protection afforded to you. I think that moving forward, promoting investor protection is not only good for you and for anyone who would consider investing in these assets. I think that it's the only real viable path forward for this nascent technology. See, at the heart of finance is trust, and trust rests on investor protection. And so that's what the SEC has to do with crypto, investor protection.
Trust. How can we trust you, Gary? How can we trust any regulator? That's where the criminality starts and stops, is at the police station. The police station for the CFTC, silver manipulation. You ran that unit. How can we trust you? Especially since 10 years later, they admit to it. J.B. Diamond had to admit to it, or Trump was going to take him down. Trust. We don't trust you, Gary. That's the problem. Anyway, that's Gary Gensler. I don't know where this is. I do know where it's going. We're probably going to see a big crash in the coming weeks. Chaos. The banker's going to load up on cryptos as they fall down. The little guy's going to get screwed. Gary Gensler's going to get his, I'm going to put new regulations in because everybody lost everything. The new regulations come just like they came after 2008, and ultimately the bankers will have more power and more cryptos and more assets than they did before. Thanks, Gary. You want to learn more about our criminal corrupt system? Go to roadtoru.com. You can go to the free site, subscribe right down here on the public road. I don't know why it says video unavailable. But the public road, you can get all these articles, all the kinds of information you need on what's really going on behind the scenes. For example, the gold in the Grand Canyon is the most important financial discovery in the history of mankind. It was discovered 2-3 years right before the invention of the Federal Reserve System. Federal Reserve System was invented because they found billions of ounces of gold in the Grand Canyon when the whole system only had about 130 million ounces. It is the biggest thing that has been the reason these banks allow this shit to go on. The politicians allow this shit to go on. We were on a gold standard. This would have destroyed society as we know it. So they decided to invent the Federal Reserve System to manage the process. And of course, the criminals took over. Now is the time to kick the criminals out, go back to gold standard, go back to crypto, whatever we need to do. Anything but having politicians, regulators, and banks in charge of our lives. So I'm sorry, Gary. Trust, you're correct. Trust is so important for the system, but you lost that trust. You have lost it personally, and your department. You personally lost it because you made a political decision not to stop the manipulation of silver. A political decision. And don't try to deny it. Your employee, your number one best guy employee, Bart Chilton, told the world about it. Right before he passed away, he told the world that you lost the trust of the people. You have lost it. You have lost your moral compass. You can find it. You want to find it? Tell people the truth for once. Tell them the truth about our corrupt monetary system. Tell them the truth about our corrupt exchanges. Tell them the truth about corrupt pricing of every asset. Yes, crypto's completely corrupt. Silver, completely corrupt. Stock market, bond market, all corrupted. Because we don't have proper regulation. We have criminal cover-up artists at the SEC, as evidenced in the takedown of Reggie Middleton and Veritasium. Veritasium would have fixed this huge problem of rehypothecated assets. It's disgusting. So Gary, I'm giving you a chance in my book. Come clean about the past. Don't tell us to trust you just because you're the SEC. The SEC is a huge part of the problem. I'll trust you if you come clean about the past. Anyway, you want to join the Road to Ruta? Go to roadtoruta.com. Hit subscribe today. And it is $2.99 for a year, less than $1 a day. And we will send you the coolest silver coin ever made. There's Ruta jumping up and down on a silver road. And the little cave of gold back here. The Federal Reserve Building. Which, hey, I'm happy to bring the Fed back into the fold of good. It is possible. Remember, the Road to Ruta information came right from the Fed Boston. There are people within the Fed working to take down the banking cabal, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of repentance and a lot of admitting that you are part of the problem. If we're going to move forward, we have to move forward on a sound, honest basis. And right now we don't have that, so we can't move forward. Anyway, subscribe today. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you later.